Welcome back. Time for this week's Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. And Pat, the world remembered the 50th anniversary of JFK's assassination yesterday. Share your thoughts on this moment in history.
Well, I guess I'm like a lot of people my age, 56, 57 and older. I'm 58. And you remember where you were. I was in school at Bishop John Carroll here in Oklahoma City. And I was a little boy. And when the nuns came in and told us that the president had been murdered, we were in shock. And it was a long time before we kind of returned to what you could call normal, because Kennedy meant a lot to us as young Catholic kids. Now that I'm a man, it's like St. Paul's epistle, where he says he used to look at things as a child, and now he looks at them as a man. Now that I'm a man, I have complex reflections when it comes to President Kennedy. I will say that one of the most fascinating things I've studied in depth as a man is President Ronald Reagan's friendship for the Kennedy family, his friendship with Ted Kennedy, and the things he did to honor Jack Kennedy while Reagan, was president. And he did a good job of touching on some of the nuances of JFK. He said on the one hand he was self-deprecating, could make a joke about himself, and yet he was also very proud. He was ironic, enjoyed humor, and yet could be offended at an attack in the public square. He was easily moved. He was emotional. He was a very literate man, and yet, as Reagan pointed out, he was totally comfortable in the language of the common people. Reagan commented in a speech at Ted Kennedy's home, raising money for the Kennedy Center at Harvard, history is not only made by people, it is people. And so history is, as young John Kennedy demonstrated, as heroic as you want it to be, as heroic as you are. And it's a great line about a beloved president who was taken too soon.
Who remains an iconic figure today.
That's right.
Well, just when it seemed like the e-cigarette bans were going nowhere, Oklahoma City's veteran Ward 4 Councilman Pete White, Pat, is now talking about banning them in Oklahoma City. Share your thoughts on that.
Well, we go from the sublime a moment ago to some hardball policy arguments that are going to be taking place. Councilman White has asked Ken Jordan, who's the city councilor, a lawyer, to draft a possible resolution. I think he's drafting a resolution. At least he's asked him to prepare a report on it. Of course, you have on the side of favoring a ban on e-cigarettes on public property and putting new restrictions on them and probably taxing electronic smoking devices are groups like the Oklahoma Hospital Association, the State Department of Health, presumably the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, TSET, which has played a role in development of these local ordinances around the state. Also supported by national money like the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. On the flip side are groups like the Oklahoma Vapor Advocacy League, OVAL, Jonathan Small at OCPA, and others who are making critical comments about these possible regulations. The kind of thing, I think it should be a substantive debate because there's a strong case to be made that e-cigarettes can actually act as a tobacco harm reduction, or even cessation device, but some folks completely, disagree with that. So this is going to be, if the table is set for a big fight, it's going to be interesting.
Attorney General Scott Pruitt, not going to have a whole lot of time for this, but through litigation he sought to protect the state from EPA's regional haze standards, strictures of the Affordable Care Act, other federal issues. Just update us on his legal positions.
Well, real quickly, he's not been successful so far in pushing back on the regional haze issue, but he's asked for the U.S. Supreme Court to review the issue. And of course, Oklahoma, as you know, lost recently in a couple of abortion cases that did go all the way to the Supreme Court. But on the flip side, he's having some success in arguing against the greenhouse gas standards. The ethanol mandate was actually revised along the lines he and others suggested. He supported the American Airlines and United merger. And of course, he's got a live round, if you will, on the Obamacare or Affordable Care Act on the issue of IRS authority. So these are legal arguments he's making, but he blends them with deft economic arguments. So I'd say watch that space, because this is not a fool's errand. He's making a case that's impressing other lawyers and other attorneys general, and we'll see if the Supreme Court and ultimately parts of the Obama administration are ever persuaded.
All right, and you can read more about these and other topics at capitalbeatok.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great day.